Good afternoon, friends, and welcome back to the craft room, and a very warm welcome to our new subscribers. You're very welcome here. Thank you for joining us. Today I'm putting together a 3-tier skirt, which is very easy to do and very quick to do. So I have messed up cutting the fabric out, which I'll explain to you later, but that's just what I do. I've been putting off cutting this fabric out for a while because it's, as much as I love double gauze cotton, it's soft, it's dreamy, it's got a really nice feel to it, I love it. I'm not very good at cutting it out. I'm not a ripper. I don't like ripping fabric unless I'm working with little scrappy projects. So I'm a cutter and I really struggle with this because it really is a fabric you need to rip, not cut. So use any lightweight cotton, poplin, anything like that. You could actually make this with any kind of dressmaking material, really, fabric. You could make this with denim if you wanted. So I'm just using a lightweight double gauze cotton because it's really lovely feel to it. It's lovely to wear. Just a beggar to cut out for me. So yeah, if I use this again, I'll rip it definitely. I did end up ripping it in the end. You know, you cut a snip and then rip. I did do that in the end because cutting it was just a nightmare, because when I got the fabric, you know what they're like from these fabric sales, they just butcher material, don't they? It comes like that, and oh, it was a right mess when it came. So it took me a while to tidy it up before I could start cutting it. Anyway, I'm going to show you the measurements and why mine aren't quite that, but I'm hoping it'll still work out. You will see the process with me now. I'll just move the camera down so you can see what we're up to. I didn't want to film me cutting it out because if you've never seen anybody with road rage times 10, that was me cutting this out today. I didn't want to put you through that. Didn't want to put you through that, guys. So just moving the camera down and round for you so you can see what I'm doing. So, don't worry if you haven't got an overlocker for this the fabric that loves to fray. I'm using my overlocker today just because I've got one. If I did, before I had an overlocker, I would just finish off the seams with a zigzag. Doesn't matter if you haven't got an overlocker, don't worry about that. That's just optional extra. So, the very first tier that goes around your waist, I've cut out at 14 deep, so that's from the waist to the hips, 14 inches deep by 53 going round. So the length that I've cut out was 53 inches. That works out about 35 centimetres by about 134 centimetres, give or take. So my first tier, it's going to be round the waist, if you will, on the hips, is 14 that way, from your waist down to 53, well, a straight piece, okay. And then what you do with that is you get the two ends together to make a tube, and you cut it to make a tube. So as you can see, I've got two seams here, which I will talk to you about later. That's simply because I'm messed up. So that's your first tier. Your second tier that goes underneath it that you're going to gather to fit your first tier is 12 by 87, which is 30 by 220. Again, you put the two short ends together and sew it to make a tube, like so, okay? And then your third tier, I'll sort that out in a moment. Pop that over there so I'm not keeping you waiting. Your third tier is 15 by 130, which is 38 by 330. Now, bearing in mind, these 15, 14 and 12, 12 inches, 15, that's 39, 41, okay. If you're a lot taller than me and you want it down to your ankles, you'll just measure from your waist to your ankle and add a couple of inches for your sort of like waistband and your hem. You can alter the length of your skirt just by altering these first measurements here, the depths. Okay. So I've just done those to suit my height, because once I've done all the hem and the waistband, I want it to be about 38. Now then, just move you back again while I explain what I cocked up. So I only bought 2 meters of fabric. I would advise anybody who's making this to buy about 2.5 to 3 meters. And I just thought, now I'll get away with 2 because I can piece together. So when I cut my first tier out, that was fine. Cut it out, not a problem. Put it to one side. Got the next tier to cut out. Realised my fabric wasn't long enough. That's why I'm saying get 2.5 to 3 meters. So I cut 2 pieces out for the tier to join them together to make the 87 inches circumference that I needed. But I knew that I might not have enough for my 3rd tier if I wasn't careful. So I cut my 3rd tier out first, before my 2nd tier. I cut my 3rd tier out to make sure I had 2 good pieces I could put together to make the longest tier one, which was 130 inches. Then I thought, right, I've got enough fabric there for the 2nd tier now with what's left over. So I added a bit to the 2nd tier from the scraps. Come to sort of put the 1st tier to, you know, to grab the 1st tier, the 2nd tier and the 3rd tier to bring it upstairs to sew it, and realised I actually cut out of my 1st tier by accident and put this to my 2nd tier. I'm like, oh, you're joking me, because that 1st tier should have just been in one piece. So I ended up getting a load of scraps together, measuring them out and cutting them out. So I've got 3 pieces now for my 1st tier instead of just 1. So I don't know how this is going to look. I was making this skirt to actually go out for a meal on Christmas Day with my church family. And it's going to be a really scrappy skirt now, so it might just be one I wear around the house. I don't think if it doesn't look right, I will not be wearing it to go out, that's for sure. So with all that being said, guys, if you don't mess up like me and you just snip and rip and get 2.5 meters or 3 meters instead of trying to scrimp with 2 meters, it should be okay. This fabric is pretty inexpensive. I just got this off eBay. From a reputable seller on eBay, even though all fabric sellers butcher the fabric now when they're cutting him out. Honestly, it was like that. It was a right mess. It's like, for goodness sake. So by the time I'd got this sorted out, I needed a lie down in a dark room. Anyway, it's cut out now, so we're going to try and put it together best we can. Oh, and the other thing you'll need is some elastic. Just measure your waist and cut accordingly, giving enough to be able to overlap and sew it together. So, but we'll come to that at the end. I'll probably do that last. So, because I had to readjust this, it's probably not going to be the length I want it to be now, because I think one of them's 12 instead of 14. So I'll see what I can do with the hem. What I'll probably do with the hem is just overlock it at the bottom with this and just turn it up a tiny little bit for the hem, to try and, so I'm not losing as much in the length, just to make this skirt as long as I can possibly manage it. But anyway, so what we need to do now, guys, which this would have been easier if it had just been in one piece, to be fair, is we're going to put 4 pins in this. So we're going to, I don't know if I want that shorter panel at the front. Bear with. I'm trying to find the shortest panel I've got here, because I didn't do it in 3 even panels, you see, which would have been better. That's the shorter panel, which I wouldn't mind at the front, kind of. That means that's not going to be in the middle then, isn't it? Might be a bit squiffy, you see. So I think what I'm going to do, just to get a rough idea, I don't know where to have these panels on my skirt, you see, so that's about 6.5. That's about 6.5. So what I'm going to do, you want to measure this, well, you want to separate into 4 equal portions now with your pins. Where's my pins? Get my little biscogne. There we go. So I'm going to put a pin in that side to mark that up, a pin in this side to mark this up, to mark that edge up, and then you put those pins so that they're meeting in the middle. Bear with, let's get that down so it doesn't fall out. So then you want to put these pins together in the middle, like so. So you get this edge, and this edge. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the same to the second tier. Before I do that, I'm going to do a double line of sewing because I want to be able to pull the stitches and gather the tier up so that it's the same circumference as the first tier. That's how you're going to get your gathers. So I'm going to make my stitch length as long as I possibly can. It'll beep at me when it won't go any further. Right, so 5 is the longest. Okay. And I want to make this probably, I don't want to stitch too far down, probably about I'm just going to move my needle over to the middle a little bit so I get like a 1/4 of an inch. Perfect. Right. So you get this side now. Probably started a seam. I might just go seam to seam and seam to seam so that I'm not trying to pull too much through. So I'm going to start with quite long thread. So I've got something to pull onto, okay. And I'm not going to go back and forth with my stitching because obviously I won't be able to pull at it. So I'm going to start at this edge, and I'm going to have the edge of the fabric on the edge of this foot here so I can keep it as straight as possible. And like I said, just go from seam to seam, and you'll see what I mean in a minute because I'm going to do 2 lines. Where's my foot? Come here. We did. Right. Nice long thread. So what I'm going to do now, excuse me for getting right in front of the camera there, is I'm going to find the half and half like I did with the first layer, the first tier, should I say. Just want to get these bits of cotton together. So just straighten that out a bit. Right, so you've got your two ends here, which I don't really need to pin, but I do want to pin these middle bits. So, oh, Samantha, don't put pins in your mouth. Don't try that at home, guys. There we go. That's the middle. So I'm just going to put a pin in there. A pin in there. It's weird that, because I never put a pin in my mouth unless normally. Now I've just done it on camera. I never normally do that. Quite annoyed with myself, actually. So which one is actually in the middle there? Because one of them is and one of them isn't. Right, the yellow one is accurate. So I shall line that pink one up with the yellow one to get the middle. There we go. So what I'm now going to do, guys, is, where's my first tier? Right, I'm just going to pop this. Where's my pins? There we go. So I want this one to this one. And then I'm just going to, if you bear with, start pulling these in now. But I think what I'll do, started tangling already. So what I'm going to do is very gently pull this up like this, so it starts to gather. Can you see? Nice and slowly, taking your time. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because this video will be too long if I don't, but I'm just gathering this up very gently, like so. Okay, so that this is the same circumference as that, and when I finish gathering it all up, like so, so that it fits to this bit nicely, I will then come back and show you the next stage. Right, friends, that didn't take as long as I expected it to be honest. So I've got this to the same width as the first tier. So we want to marry these up now. Hence the reason why we put the pins in, so that we can match them up. So we're going to have this together. I'll just grab my pin cushion again. We're going to pop this one together. You don't need to use pins actually. You could use, if you wanted, some sewing clips, which I tend to use both, to be fair. So I'm going to put a pin in there. And then I'm going to match up the next pin. Now I've tried to get the gathers as evenly as possible for my patience levels anyway. I'm not the most patient of people when it comes to fiddly things. So I have gathered them up. I've gathered this up, which didn't take long, but then I've just faffed with it a little bit just to try and get it fairly even. So we're just doing sort of like right sides together, if you will. Grabbing the fabric, right sides together, and putting pin to pin. I do hope I'm doing this well on camera well enough for you to see, guys. I'm sorry if I keep lifting it up to my face where you can't see it, because my eyesight is shocking. So I'm just going to pin that together. And like I say, I tend to use clips more than I use pins, but my pins are here and they're just handy. So pin to pin, edge to edge from right sides together. And then we're going to sew these. We're going to sew the first tier to the second tier. I'm just going to get it inside there so it doesn't get trapped and sewn where it shouldn't. Right, let's have a go with this now. You could just, what we're going to say, you could just overlock this if you wanted to. If I turn around and start overlocking now, you probably won't be able to see me. The camera angle won't be too clever. And then when I've done that, I will take those basting stitches out, you know, from when I put those stitches in together. I will be taking those out as best I can. If they can be seen. If they can't be seen, then I won't bother. Right. I'm just doing about a 5/8 of an inch, which I do tend to do with dressmaking. I don't know what 5/8 of an inch is. It is 8, 7, 6, 5, about 2 centimetres by the looks of it, I think. I don't know. I am going to go back and forth at the beginning and the end just to secure those stitches. And I'm going to take the pins out as I go along so I don't sew over pins. Not if I can help it. Right, friends, we're back. Probably about 4 hours later than when you last saw me at the sewing machine. I was just about to lift this from the sewing machine to show you the first bit that had been sewn. And obviously this looks really, really big, but there's an elastic waistband going into this. So that's your first sort of gathered tier, if you will. Okay. Not as evenly gathered as I'd like, but when I tell you what day I've had, you'll understand. That's the other side of it. There we go. So we've now got the other tier to do, so we'll do the same. We will do 2 lines of stitching. I'll probably do 3 lots here because it's a lot bigger, as you can tell. So I'll probably split it up into 3 instead of 2 like I did for that. So I'll have 2 lines of stitching in 3 places around the circumference of it. gather it, match it to the second tier and sew it, which you'll see probably a lot of that process. The reason why it's now evening was as I was about to lift it up to show you, I'd realised that I'd sewn it the wrong way around. So the top tier was the right way around, and then the bottom, the tier underneath, was inside out. So I took it all apart and I went to unpick the basting stitches so I could start again, and my machine broke. It wouldn't work. It died a death. It was making noises like it was possessed. And I took it all apart. I stopped the video, stopped filming, took it all apart, cleaned it, put it all back together again, fresh new needle, fresh new thread, and it still wouldn't work. It completely gone kaput. So I took it all apart again, tried to find out what the issue was, put it all back together again, still wouldn't work. So I went and had a brew, stamped around the house in a hissy fit for a little bit, tried again, still wouldn't work. So I took it apart again. No, still wouldn't work. I thought, it's knackered, it's completely gone as this. Messaged husband said, just order another machine. That's been giving you jip for a long time now, just get another machine. So I've ordered one that's probably half, no, yeah, probably half the cost of this was. Money I didn't want to spend, but we use the sewing machine so much in this house that really it's difficult to go without a sewing machine. Really, it's become an essential in this house as a sewing machine, not just for pleasure but for mending things, fixing things, sorting things out for the kids, grandkids. It's just an everyday part of our life, really, like a washing machine is, really. So I've ordered another one. It's coming in a couple of days. You'll never believe it. In the mood that I was in, because when I'm in a bad mood with stuff like this, I get very stubborn and I insist on getting it fixed. I fixed it and it's working again now. But it is only a matter of time before it actually goes. So I am going to go ahead with the other machine when it comes. It's not the same make, I hasten to add. I've got a different make, and I'm not going to say whether I like it or not till I've used it quite a bit. I want quite a good amount of use out of it before I decide whether I like it or not. So guys, I'm just going to do 2 rows of stitching on this again and gather it again like I did the last one. You don't really need to see that again, do you, really? You've seen that bit already. So I'll come back to you, all being well, when I'm attaching. Well, you've seen me attach the first tier actually, haven't you? I'll come back when I'm doing the hem and the waistband, and then you don't have to watch it all again and again. So I'll be back soon. Right. You think, my friends, that, let's hope it's right this time, is done. So that's your top tier, your second tier, and your third tier. Obviously I need to cut all the threads off, but that, oops, is the skirt. So what I'm going to do is very quickly serge. I'm going to serge all this off camera to tidy it up because it's frayed very, very badly. So I'm going to do now is the hem. But I'm going to go on with this because it'll tidy it up. I don't know if you can see or not. Just twist you around a little bit. Make sure I can move this. Try and move my tin. I don't have a lot of room in this little space, you see, so just do our best. So this is something I haven't used for a while as well, so I'm a little bit like, oh, I forgot how to use it. I really have as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn it inside out, guys, and I'm going to do the hem. Here we go. Start at I like to start at a seam because it just feels like a good starting point. I'll probably go across all the seams as well at some point, but just for now I am just going to serge this hem. Then I can turn it up ever so slightly. I can find my foot. There we go. Snip with the scissors. I'm going to snip it here because I'm going to be turning it up anyway. There we go. There we go. So that's that done. Get it back in the corner. And then we will turn the hem up. But what I'll need to do is press it. I'll need to give it a good press, turn it up about, I'm only going to turn it up about, let me have a look. How much do I want to turn this up? I didn't get those seams matching, did I? Never mind, never mind. Never mind. Right, I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to press it and turn it up about, excuse my nails guys, I've broken them all fighting with that bloody sewing machine today. Let's redo them again later on tonight. So I'm going to turn my hem up ever so slightly. So it's going to be, I'm going to be doing it in centimetres now, about 1 centimetre. Normally I would turn my hem up and then turn it up again like that. But because I've serged it at the edge, it doesn't need to be. So the waist will be done the same way as, do you remember when I was putting the pins in to match the tiers to the together? I'm going to do the same with the elastic. So this needs sewing together now. Oh, hecky thump. I'm just going to do a zigzag back and forth. I'm not going to change the cotton to a white cotton. I'm just going to go for it. Oh no, leave the thing in. Turn it round. Go again. And I'm going to go one more for good measure. Because I don't like that bit underneath that's sticking out. I know it's a mess, but you won't see it. You will not see that. It'll be hidden inside the waistband. So I'm just going to do this as well. Oh no, it's not overflow enough. There we go. Can you see, guys? Hope if I keep my hands out of the way, wouldn't it? And then just again. Oh, I don't want to do that. And one more time. I know it looks a mess, but you won't see it, and it makes it nice and strong. So it's not gonna come undone that. So what I will do with this, I'll do what I did with the hem. I'll put it through the overlocker very quickly, and then I will match this up with like 4 pins to this, and then I'll sew it in. done a fixing stitch so it doesn't come undone, and then get rid of those. What I'm going to do now, what I would normally do is take it downstairs, give it a good press, and turn it over with the iron and press it all nicely. I'm not doing that tonight. After the trauma of this skirt and the way it's turned out, what I'm going to do is find my clips. I mean, obviously, guys, I'm going to press it, but all I'm going to do for now, for the sake of the video, is just turn this over, keeping it nice and straight and flat. And then I'm just going to put a lot of clips in it. And what I'm going to do, because nobody's going to actually see this part, only me. I'm going to sew about 3 lines of straight stitching. So when you look at the waistband, it'll have 3 lines of stitching all the way around the waistband, and that way it'll look nice. It'll keep it in a night. It'll keep it from moving for sure. I mean, that zigzag will really, but I don't. Just want to make sure it's fixed. Now, what I could have done was sew a channel in the panel, and then threaded the elastic through with a bodkin. That is a better method and a much neater method. But this is an alternative way. If this is the way if you want to do it this way, you can do. It really is up to you how you finish it off. Oh. So we'll start at the seam, so that I kind of have an idea when I'm getting close to finishing. And then I will make sure it's nice and straight and flat. So I'm going to start at the bottom end of the waistband. Probably just lengthen my stitch a little bit to 3.5. meet up with the last one and just there we go, back and forth to secure the stitches. So just move your camera back. Oops, it is it. Sorry if I sent you dizzy. That, my friends, is the finished skirt. Apart from just turning that up at the hem, which I'm not doing tonight because it means getting the iron out and pressing it, which I'm really not doing. I do feel like doing it tonight, but that is the skirt. So I'm hoping it will fit. Like I said, I'm not a willing model like my Mabel in the Loft is. I will get her down at some point. So it's not a skirt I'd probably wear to go out in. It is probably a skirt that I would just wear around the house because so many things have gone wrong with it. Am I cutting my head off there, guys? There we go. So yeah, what a day. A skirt that would normally take me an hour to make. You are wonky there. You're drunk. There you go. A skirt that would probably only take me an hour to make normally has taken me 6.5 hours, only because of the sewing machine drama. That's all. Don't let it put you off making one of these because they're so easy. You will, once you've got the fabric cut out, you will have this made up in an hour. It's so easy to do. As long as you just mark out your each tier to match up with your next one, you are absolutely fine. It does feel really heavy, not really heavy as in too heavy to wear, but really good weight to it, really nice. So I'm hoping it's going to be comfortable and wearable. We shall see. You may see it in a future video. You may just see it in a future video, especially from in the kitchen cooking. So for now, guys, that is today's drama. Honestly, would you believe it? All that for a skirt, a very easy skirt as well, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go around serging the edges, the seams inside, because they are fraying, which this fabric does. I was under no illusions. Just give it each tier inside a quick serge, and that will make the skirt last a lot longer as well. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me for this video for today. It's been all over the place and 6 hours in the making. So for now, I will say goodbye, God bless, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, guys.